How's it going, everybody? K-Jewelers here with something a little different than the usual. This time we're going to be doing a discussion on the Nintendo Direct coming up tomorrow. I'm actually joined by two people if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Chris. Nice to meet you guys. Hello.
Hey everyone, my name is Tom. I'm Kevin's brother, and I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about some Nintendo.
Are you excited, Tom?
I can't wait. The Nintendo Direct is one of the greatest ideas ever, and being able to talk and get excited about this more than one time a year is awesome.
I agree, and the best part is, it's kind of one of those things like where we might anticipate it, like when is the next Direct going to be, but they have been just dropping them like the day before or like a couple days before, so we kind of got to be on our toes, but
Yeah,
something to look forward to.
I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of a bit shocked. I was actually reading it right before I went to go teach my class, and I saw a Nintendo Direct scheduled for tomorrow. I was like, wow, normally they do it kind of like 2 days in advance, and I was kind of expecting it around the halfway point of the month, but, welcome surprise.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think that it really kicks it into Nintendo has announced a lot of things that they haven't detailed out enough, and I think that this Direct is going to be 35 minutes, and while I'm really excited, I'm going to be honest, I think we need to keep our expectations in check, simply because there's a lot of just news things that they need to finalize rather than new announcements.
Mhm.
The online service.
Yeah, it's definitely something pretty important they're going to have to discuss.
Yeah, isn't it launching this year too, and we're
This
in the
month.
quarter?
Yeah,
This month.
This month, yeah, I thought so. I didn't know if it got delayed or not for sure, but okay, so this month.
yeah. Thomas, do you
Yeah.
know the exact date that's happening?
No, they haven't announced the exact date. There's been a lot of speculation, and if I were to, and this is no sort of inside knowledge, but Wario64 tweeted that they might be moving up a Smash Pro controller to the 28th. The 28th kind of makes a lot of sense because you're 1 week out from Super Mario Party on October 5th, and that'll give you enough time to test before those servers go, and then they'll steadily be able to ramp up servers as Pokemon comes out in November, then Smash in December.
Okay, yeah, that's actually really interesting because I feel like that is very smart for them to get it up kind of a week so that way they can test it.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that were upset that it didn't launch next to Smash, but I'm extremely happy it didn't, because can you imagine everybody getting Smash that day and the servers just dying?
Yeah, it definitely
Yep.
would have been hectic. I was
Yeah, I
actually,
think they need to test this service first. And I don't know. This is not really a prediction for tomorrow, but just about Smash, people have been talking about maybe them having a test run, but that can be tricky too because of data miners and stuff. So who knows? But I think it's really important that they test this service as soon as possible before Smash. I think it's smart that they're releasing it early.
well, and it might be interesting because I know for Smash that they had, for the 3DS version at least, they had a short demo with, I believe, 5 playable characters that came out. So maybe they'll do something kind of along those lines, maybe the test that out, the servers, get that established before the game actually comes out. But
Yeah, and if you think about it, Sakurai did say he's going to release reveal all of the characters before it comes out. So technically, it's not a big deal if you do a demo when we know all of the characters in there. So maybe by the time we have a demo, we know the roster is set at that point.
But kind of going into what you were saying, Thomas, yes, the Direct is going to be 35 minutes, and it's going to be covering Switch and 3DS titles, which I think is interesting since I believe the last one didn't cover 3DS titles. And there's a couple ones that were mentioned earlier in the year that we kind of need to touch base on. So I kind of want to go into the 3DS games first before we move on to the Switch, which I believe is probably going to be the meat of the presentation. So a couple of the games that we've kind of seen earlier in the year were Luigi's Mansion, which is slated to come out in October. The Bowser's Inside Story kind of remake coming out for the 3DS, which is slated for 2019. And those are kind of like the two major ones. Are there any ones I'm kind of forgetting?
No, I think those are the two major ones. I mean, we just got WarioWare Gold,
Oh,
which
right.
it has gotten a lot of good reviews, but they're not going to talk about that at the Direct.
Mhm.
I guarantee you'll get a little bit about Luigi's Mansion. Well, I shouldn't say guarantee. I think there's a really high chance going in October. You'll get a little bit more of that, a little bit of information about Bowser's Inside Story. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got one game announcement on the 3DS. Its install base is just so big that, and especially in foreign markets, that they can release a game and really guarantee that they're going to hit their sales quotas.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling they might even start out talking about the online service, because if you think about it, if they're going to really go all out on this, it's probably... Do we know if the online service is going to work for 3DS too? I'm pretty sure it is, that they're going to use it on both of their systems. And if that's the case, I think this is a perfect opportunity to throw an online mode in Luigi's Mansion, as they did in Dark Moon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be linked in with the actual Nintendo Switch Online app, which is really what which is what the payment is. Because in all the ads, really, the 3DS is its own online ecosystem.
Right.
And sure, I hope Luigi's Mansion they tack on some sort of multiplayer, but we also don't know how many resources they want to put into a GameCube game that they're already porting in an old engine. To then add on an online engine, that might be a little rough. But, I mean, it would be cool to see that online functionality, and I totally get what you're saying.
Did either of you play Dark Moon? Because I think there was some sort of multiplayer component to that game.
There was. It was like something towers, Terrace
yeah,
Towers,
it was good. It was kind of like a challenge mode multiplayer. It was fun, but kind of like the Triforce Heroes issue. It's 3DS is unwieldy to play cooperatively online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a handful of situations in which we were trying to get a third random person to work with us, and they kept jumping off the cliff, which is a bit of a hard time.
But Kevin, you've played Bowser's Inside Story, and I know that we just got Superstar Saga for the 3DS. Mm-hmm. You've played Bowser's Inside Story, right?
Yeah. So I've beaten Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story, and I got to like the finale of Superstar Saga. Bowser's Inside Story is actually my favorite out of the free titles. It's got a really good soundtrack. I just really like the theme. Having Bowser just kind of playable, for a good portion of the game is rather enjoyable. I'm not looking forward to it too much. I know that they're adding a little bit of content, but I think it should be interesting for people that maybe weren't able to play the original DS title for them to pick it up with all the extra content.
I was in that boat. Maybe this is a good time to pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Did you?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, did you play some of the earlier ones, Chris, like Superstar Saga? Because I know a lot of people love that one.
Yes, I have played that, and that was a good one.
Okay, then you might enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely check it out. And by the way, for those that are curious, Scare Scraper is what the multiplayer mode in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is called.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I like that name.
Scare Scraper. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What were you going to say earlier, Thomas?
Now, I beat Superstar Saga on the Wii U Virtual Console. I didn't get to play a lot of DS or Advance, just where I was in life, but I got to play a lot of them later on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be picking it up, just because, being honest, right now there are a ton of games that are currently holding down my wallet, but I think it's a good thing for the 3DS market.
Yeah, and it almost seems like this is kind of like the 3DS market is kind of closing in at this point, kind of putting the bookend on it, because there's not really too many other titles that we know about at this point unless they're going to announce one. Luigi's Mansion being October, that's actually just a great time for that release, very thematic. But I can't really think of any other 3DS games that they would possibly announce outside of, there were a couple of rumors pointing towards a Link's Awakening remake. Do you guys have any general thoughts on that?
I know we talked about Zelda earlier, and it does seem like it'd be a prime time for a remake, and we've gotten a lot of, it's kind of crazy all the remakes we've gotten with Zelda, Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Majora's Mask, I didn't even think that was going to happen, so that's fantastic. But, I mean, the opportunity is right, because they have a Link Between Worlds on the 3DS, they could just use that engine, and I think it would look really great. They could remodel Link, and I think it would work. I think that would be a really solid game from the report, and it would, give us some Zelda. I think it's been a year since, or almost a year since the DLC came out for Breath of the Wild, right? Wasn't it in December when we got the story mode or whatever?
Whenever the Game Awards were.
Champions Ballad.
Yeah, what I'll say is that Link's Awakening is actually one of the 5 games that rotate as my favorite game, depending on the day. I grew up playing that game. It was one of the first games I played on the Game Boy, and I absolutely love that game. I would love for it to be on the 3DS. I would also love for it to be... I want to see it in some form re-released, because that is an automatic buy for me, even though I've kind of retired my 3DS for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I would. The game is actually one of the most underrated Zeldas. It outshines almost, if I would say all of the portable Zeldas, minus maybe A Link Between Worlds, it is an astounding game that is still easy to go back to this day. So I'd love to see what changes they'd make to it, and hopefully for the better.
Yeah,
It was one of those Zelda games that was quite out there, like Majora's Mask. It really stands as its own kind of, with its own personality as a Zelda game, because, you know, a lot of the Zelda games, you know, kind of sometimes blend together. You got a lot of people who, like, are set, like, this is their favorite Zelda game. But Link's Awakening dared to be different, and I think it would definitely have a nice welcome home on the 3DS.
And it also has my favorite fetch quest in any Zelda game whatsoever.
For the
and
boomerang?
I don't think that that's an arguable point, because you have to go through 8 trades to get a stick to get to a monkey, and then you get the stick.
Yeah.
It's basically one fetch quest that goes through the entire game, and normally fetch quests are tedious. This one is not. I think it's, when you talk about the old school Zelda formula, which is go into a dungeon, get the item, use the item to defeat the boss, get into the next dungeon. It's the one that kind of takes that campiness and just goes full force with it. I'm so excited for that game. Kevin, you've played that game a lot too.
Yeah, so Link's Awakening is one of my favorite entries. Probably my favorite handheld one. Kind of like what you were saying with the fetch quest. It's like the fetch quest actually has a good payoff, because when you get the boomerang, you could just one-shot the final boss with it. Like, it's actually worth the payoff. And I think what it does is it actually takes this kind of dream formula that you see in games, and you kind of groan about, where you're like, oh, it was just all just a dream or whatever, and it puts a very, very interesting kind of twist on it, which I think kind of like sets it apart from all the other titles. I have a couple gripes with it, which is kind of just the inventory system can be a bit, you know, repetitive, having to go in and out, which I think if a 3DS remake were to be confirmed could potentially fix that issue.
They would revamp that for sure.
Yeah, and so and maybe you change some of the difficulty for some stuff, like, I think it's Angor's Cave, Thomas. The boss in that is kind of a cakewalk, so maybe, they could change that up, kind of like how Majora's Mask.
To be honest, I think every boss in that thing is a cakewalk, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that they need to keep, though, is that shopkeeper that'll change your name to what thief is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was so good. Yeah, and the Yoshi doll. Yeah, that's cool. I would love that. Would be a breath of fresh air. No pun intended. After our last Zelda game, but it would be perfect. I think the Link's Awakening remake would be awesome, but I think it's one of those more bold predictions, maybe, but not necessarily, because I know, Kevin, we were talking about earlier how usually every couple of years we get some kind of spin-off Zelda game or handheld game.
Yeah.
Now, I would say Between Worlds was a main title game, but then a few years later we got, Triforce Heroes, so...
Yeah, and in my perfect world, we get it for both Switch and 3DS.
That would be amazing, yep.
I don't think it's that hard of a thing to do. I mean, they recently just released simultaneous games with the port of Captain Toad, so they can do it.
I don't know if they would, but I think I would probably get it for Switch if they did, but I think it's going to be for 3DS if they do make it at all.
Yeah, so when we were looking at it earlier, Zelda games typically come out as either like every other year or like, once a year. So Breath of the Wild, of course, came out last year. And I believe the last Zelda title that we kind of saw before that was Triforce Heroes and Majora's Mask in 2015. And then 2014 was Hyrule Warriors, 2013, A Link Between Worlds, and so on. So they've been...
When did Hyrule Warriors came out for 3DS, though? I know they...
yeah.
And it came out for Switch, too. They ported that game several times.
Yeah. So, they are pretty consistent when it comes to releasing these new Zelda titles. I know, like, at least with the console ones, it seems like an eternity. But, I mean, that could be something potentially on the horizon for, who knows, surprise title later this year or maybe more realistically next year. But do you guys kind of have any final thoughts on the 3DS games that could be coming out, or just any bold predictions for them?
So, I don't necessarily camp this in just the 3DS games category, but it's possible. I think it's about time. We talked about the theme of Luigi's Mansion in October. I think they need to throw a Castlevania port out there. And it could be on 3DS for the early games, it would work, but they could also do it for the Switch. Just make a compilation of the early Castlevania games. That would be perfect.
Oh, so like a collection.
A collection, yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I was going to say, my one friend said that he got the original Castlevania on his 3DS, has been playing that after the Simon & Richter announcement. But I think a collection would actually be a pretty dope idea, to be honest with you.
There is... Okay, so they do have Castlevania on the 3DS.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
I'm not sure if
Okay.
it's just the first one or maybe it's the first three. Maybe Super
I'll say
Castlevania.
that the 3DS Virtual Console is, while I still think the Wii U is the most hated on and still underrated, 3DS has a pretty good Virtual Console because Castlevania The Adventure, the Game Boy game's on there. I'd say actually most of the Castlevania games have been released on it, but having it in one collection, I got to agree with you. After being spoiled with the two Mega Man Legacy collections, and even now with the Crash Bandicoot collection, I just want every old game series to get that treatment.
Right? And after, 30-something tracks for Smash for Castlevania, 2 characters, a big stage, Dracula as a boss, it's screaming, make it happen. The opportunity is right.
Mhm.
And it's a great promotional piece, too, if they go ahead with that.
Yeah, and kind of on the Castlevania music, a little side note, can we talk about the fact that during the direct we saw, I think it was 34 Castlevania songs and only 2 Final Fantasy songs?
2 Final Fantasy songs, and just from Final Fantasy VII alone, which makes sense, but just 2...
It's heartbreaking. I want One Winged
It
Angel.
is.
That's all I want in there.
Yeah, One Winged Angel. I don't know what the other 2 are. I know we got, the battle theme, right?
Yeah, so it should just be your standard battle theme and then kind of more of the boss theme that plays at Final
You
Fantasy
need
VII.
Cosmo Canyon in there, too. That one's perfect for...
I would love Cosmo Canyon, yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, I would say that's probably all I could think for 3DS.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really think that this is, at least in the North American market, or the 3DS is almost gone. And that's, we can remember it as the great console that it was in the end of the DS line, but yeah, I mean, I think that they really need to focus on the Switch to make sure that this is their next platform similar to the DS and 3DS
It's
that
still
can
new,
last
yeah.
you over 12 years.
yeah, I mean, I love my
12
3DS.
years.
I love my 3DS. I love my DS, of course. There's so many great titles on there in the library, like Kid Icarus Uprising. The Pokemon titles are great. Virtue's Last Reward. There's so many. It just keep going on. I know I'm naming some more niche ones, but Animal Crossing New Leaf, which is a big one, which we'll get to talking about Animal Crossing here in a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe when they announce the last 3DS is going into production, we can have a eulogy podcast.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I think, Tom, you may be onto something. I think they could keep the Switch going for a long time, and they could make iterations of it, because we had the 3DS all the way to the new 3DS, which the concept was kind of a gimmick. I mean, we had, the little circle thing on there, which was cool, but they didn't make a whole lot of new 3DS games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, it did buff up the console, the handheld console, so that's good. And I think they could do the same with the Switch, make a, dare they call it new Switch, I hope not, but we'll see what they do. I think they could keep this
It's the
going.
Switch
It's a great console.
excuse me?
Then it's just going to fail and fall flat. That was a terrible idea. Let's not go back to the U.
But alright, I think that kind of wraps up our general thoughts for the 3DS. Luigi's Mansion, Bowser's Inside Story. Maybe potential surprise title being Link's Awakening. Could be anything. But let's kind of move on now to the Switch thing, which I think will be the bigger portion. We were kind of talking about the online service, and, expecting potentially a release date for that closer to the end of the month. That way we could test out, Mario Party, or test out the service before Mario Party comes out. One of the things, though, about the online service is the promise of being able to play NES games online. I believe they said the number was 20, and we've seen about 10 of them, and 10 of them that we don't know about. Thomas, do you have a list of the 10?
Yeah, so thanks. I'm gonna cite Michael McWhorter of Polygon, who published this back in May. So we've at least known the first 10 since May, but the 10 that we have confirmed are soccer, tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Bros, Super Mario Bros, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Dr. Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, there's one thing that all of those games have in common. They are all first-party Nintendo games. There hasn't been a single third-party game announced as having this kind of cross-function play. And while I would love it, I actually think that this is an amazing idea and I know a lot of people are saying, you know what, I might not actually use it, but being able to jump on Discord or even the Nintendo Online service, be able to switch off and play some of the good games that have been included, Super Mario Bros. 3, Zelda, just getting to switch in between the character, I think that's awesome. Now, not all of these games are good. I'm just going to be flat out honest. I mean, Ice Climber
Yeah.
is not a good game. It's not a good game, and it doesn't hold up. I've played it
You're telling me
recently.
that's not Ice Climber's not in your top 5 with Link's
No,
Awakening?
it does not hold up. I mean, balloon fight is balloon fight. Soccer is soccer, and I think Dr. Mario is a great fit for this. I think all of the Mario games really are, but you're missing a lot, and I know that I don't think the next 10 are going to be particularly exciting, and I hate to say that, but most of those games are black box games, which if you're not totally familiar with the NES library, when they originally released games, they were all in these black boxes. You see a lot of kind of nostalgia thing, but we're going to see more sports games, but they also haven't announced the good sports games. Ice hockey is noticeably moving. Baseball, 10-yard fight, I'm pretty sure we're going to see at least those 3. Clue Land, Excite Bike, golf. Those are really my predictions, because when they're going into this, they are going to need to alter the code a little bit. And I think that's what initially slowed the Wii U Virtual Console. When they came out with games, that it was either third parties they had a really good relationship with, or just Nintendo first party. So there are some good first party games that we haven't seen that I definitely could see released and fun with the service. Kid Icarus, Metroid, Rad Racer. Those are games that we haven't seen. Even Pinball, but those again are kind of in the same vein as the black box. And finally, to end my kind of long-windedness, and I'm sorry about that, but
no, you're good.
Is that I mean, there's certain games there's no way I think you'll see unless they come out of left field and announce an accessory. So, I mean, there's no way we're gonna get a Switch Rob. So like Gyromite and things like that. You're not going to see light gun games, so I don't think Duck Hunt's going to come. Even though I will say it could work with the Joy-Con and the IR sensor.
Yeah, I that's actually a really interesting point that they're all black box games, but B, they're all first party. There are no third party. Like I was like thinking, wow, I didn't hear like Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man 2, Castlevania, which those are some titles I would love to see in the service. Because you and I have been talking about playing Zelda online and being able to switch off perhaps every game over or whatever, which I think would be a lot of fun. And having the ability to do that with something maybe like Mega Man 2 or Castlevania, where you might be dying, that way you could switch off, would be a really, really great time. And yes, I would love to see stuff like Techno Ball and Ice Hockey. I think those are the 2 sports games I really want to see on there.
And to clarify, did they say that online is going to be supported with these games? Was that clarified?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was clarified. And I believe that it's all of them. I'll go back through the Polygon article. Thanks again to Michael McWhorter for writing that. And every classic NES game will support voice chat via the Nintendo Switch Online smartphone app or Discord. And it will also be possible to play these games offline. So friends can watch each other play or pass the controller. So let's say I'm playing Zelda and I absolutely hate the 4th dungeon, right? And I'm like, Kevin, it's your turn. Just hit whatever button they designate and it's Kevin's turn to play.
That's really nice.
That's awesome.
That's great.
It's really like getting the old couch co-op back together. And I'm interested to see how they expand. Now I'm gonna kind of skip ahead. I'm giving you a crazy hot prediction here. I think that at the Direct, they're going to give us NES-themed Joy-Cons.
Okay.
I think so. I think so.
I can see
I'll
that.
agree with that. And I do like seeing Nintendo finally getting on this wagon of the internet and using it in their games, because I feel like they have just missed so many opportunities with so many games in the past. But I think that this online service is them taking a stand and saying, okay, not everyone can get together on their couch anymore. Let's make it to where we can capture that experience as best as possible with this online service. And hopefully, of course, the online will be good.
Yeah,
the prices are very solid. So I have high hopes.
Yeah, and the family plan is really the way to do it. I mean, it's 8 accounts for $35 a year versus 1 account for $20 a year.
That's nearly half off from the competitors too, which is insane.
Yeah, and I will say this, and I have to cite Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's podcast, that free-to-play Switch games that are already online do not need the paid service. So Fortnite, Paladins, you don't need it. You can just
okay.
continue to play it even without paint.
That's actually great.
That's good. Yep. That's good.
Now, I guess here's the thing. So, Thomas, you were kind of playing it relatively safe with your predictions for the other 10 games that they might announce. Do you think they're going to announce them this time? With the service?
I see it, yeah. Yeah, I think we'll get the full 20 games. If not in the direct, in a press release shortly after. I think we are going to get titles that we're excited about, but they're not going to be third party, in my opinion. We might see one or two from the relationships Nintendo's really tight with, your Capcoms.
Yeah.
But, we'll see Zelda 2. I'm almost sure of it. We'll see Super Mario Brothers 2, Yoshi's Cookie, things like that.
Yoshi's Cookie, what a throwback.
Oh, yeah. That and Wario's Woods.
I think I might go out on a limb and say that the other 10 titles that you were talking about, yeah, I could see Zelda 2 for sure, Super Mario Brothers 2, yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that maybe we might see Mega Man 2 just because of how iconic it is for the NES, and just Nintendo's relationship with Capcom is very strong.
Yeah.
And,
to kind of...
Castlevania as well, just given the recent announcements for Smash, I could see that happening.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they just did contracts for the NES Classic, so it's not like those talks didn't happen recently.
Yeah. And, Contra would be perfect for this, too. I mean, Konami and Nintendo seem to be doing all right. I mean,
buddy.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, but it's always been Super C lately, which, okay, you might hate me for saying this, it's the better game, but Super C has been released on virtual consoles and on the NES Classic.
Mm. So what you're saying is maybe a little too much exposure and you'd rather just see the original?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for whatever they release, and whatever the 20 games are, I don't think it's the last that we'll see. I think we'll continue to get support.
I agree.
Chris,
this is just the start, yeah.
Do you have any just thoughts on what you think maybe the 10 games could be?
I pretty much agree with what's been said. I think they're going to make games that would work well with the online co-op experience. Even if it's, a single-player game, and you're just swapping the controller back and forth. I think, because Sony has something like that on the PS4 with their share play. You can also either share the controller, so you're basically using the same virtual controller, or you can give the controller to the other person who's in the share play. And I think it'll be something similar.
Okay.
So we'll see. I mean, I haven't thought too much about these NES games, but I know that we'll find out what they are tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, so for this next kind of thing, I'm going to kind of go through a bit of a lightning round. I'm going to throw out a bunch of Switch titles, and I'm just going to have you guys just basically say, like, do you think we'll see it or no? And then we'll go back in and talk more in depth on them afterwards. But, okay, so for the first one, Animal Crossing. I'm going to say no. I think we're going to get disappointed in Animal Crossing fans tomorrow.
Maybe we'll see that for E3.
Yeah, that's Holiday 2019 to me. It's too big of a franchise to waste in this current holiday season.
They could announce it, but I'm not predicting it.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, the Yoshi title. Does it? I don't think it has an official name, does it?
I may, but you're right. I mean, they gave a little bit more detail, but I think they said it's 2019 and that it's progressing well. But let me see if I can find an update on it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it has an official title. It just says Yoshi Switch coming out for 2019. I could see it being shown for like a tiny bit.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, you gotta think too, they're splitting up. They're gonna talk about the online service, they're gonna talk about 3DS and the Switch. And Animal Crossing, Yoshi is a pretty fairly decent game for them. So I feel like those two are probably gonna be saved for another day. But it's possible that Yoshi could be mentioned, because that game has just been floating along, we're just waiting to hear something from it.
Yeah. I actually think we will see it, and I think that it will be slated for a February release.
February, okay.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think that we don't really have enough solid dates in 2019 yet, and I think they want to get ahead of the curve. And this is going to be, how Kirby Star Allies released early March?
Yeah.
That's going to fill that slot for them.
Okay.
I can see that, and to note, a lot of times Nintendo will say we're only focusing on games coming out this year. and this direct does not have that label to it. So I definitely agree that there's going to be some dates or at least time frames for 2019 games.
Just keep it out of January, please. There's already too much coming out in that month. I'm about to go overload with Kingdom Hearts, Resident Evil 2. What was the thing? Oh, Travis Strikes Again just got pushed back. Just keep it out of there, please. I don't want to have to buy any more games.
And then Smash in December, that's going to keep us busy for a while. So.
I don't know. To me, Yoshi is the perfect Valentine's Day release. It's such a couples game sitting on the couch.
I can see that.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so for the next one, Metroid Prime 4. I'm going to say a hard no. I feel like that is definitely going to be shown off next year.
E3, yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we'll see more before E3, but that's our December/November 2019 game. Mm-hmm. I think it's that and Animal Crossing we're going to see.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see, for the kind of the last one that we know about, Bayonetta 3. I'm going to say yes. I think we're going to see a new snippet, maybe a tiny bit of gameplay for this.
I think it's about time. I can see it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, I don't think so.
Okay. You think maybe later this year?
And not to just kind of like end it there, like, no, it's not going to. I mean, to me...
Crush our hopes. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not tuned to Bayonetta anyway. I'll be okay.
All we've seen is a logo, and I don't think that they're going to have enough to show, but I think that that's going to be part of the E3 sizzle reel. And my guess is that's 2020 at this point.
Wow, okay.
I don't think it's necessarily close.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree with that. I think it'll come out in 2020.
I'm kind of banking on 2019 for it, personally. But yeah, we really don't know too much about it. Okay, so for kind of like this last thing, before we kind of move on to the big one, there were a couple rumors alongside the Link's Awakening game that there was a Star Fox racing game in development. Thoughts on that? Personally, I love Star Fox. I was pretty disappointed in Star Fox Zero, I won't even lie. But this just seems like the strangest idea that I kind of want to come to fruition.
I think a lot of F-Zero fans are going to be a little butthurt if that's the case, because Nintendo is just letting that slide. I mean, they threw a lot of F-Zero in Mario Kart, and we didn't get any. There's like no. I mean, I don't know how it worked, but no Star Fox in Mario Kart. But we got all these other franchises. Funny enough, and even just recently Zelda DLC. But Star Fox Racing, that would be a very interesting title, and it would definitely come out of left field for sure. But I could see a lot of potential in that, and it would be a multiplayer game, so they can really use the online service with this title, if it is a thing. But yeah, I don't know. It would be quite a surprise if we saw anything Star Fox tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest thing to Star Fox we'll see is Starlink, the Ubisoft game. I don't think those leaks were real. I kind of wanted them to be real because I thought that, hey, if Nintendo can put rabbits in the Mario game and make it fun, who knows what else they can do, and I want to see crazy weird Nintendo. I have a hard time seeing it, but I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah, I agree. This seems a bit far-fetched for my taste personally. However, there is a character called James McCloud in F-Zero. So maybe they just, they got a bad look at it. Maybe it's a new F-Zero game, kind of grasping at straws at this point for people. But yeah, I think it's incredibly unlikely, to be honest with you. I want to be surprised. What was that?
I think we'll get a little bit of Fire Emblem, though.
Oh, you know what? Totally forgot about that.
Right?
Yeah, I think we'll get that dated April or May. I think a lot of people are excited about it. I've personally never played a Fire Emblem game outside of Fire Emblem Warriors. Don't hurt me. But this might be the first one I play.
Yeah. That's interesting you started with Warriors. Like, wow, that'll be interesting if you go back to the 3DS games, which are really good, by the way. Awakening definitely earns its ranks as far as bringing Fire Emblem back into the spotlight, I would say.
Awakening's
a I can see that happening early first quarter or second quarter next year.
Yeah, Awakening's definitely a really solid title, and I personally prefer Path of Radiance. That's my favorite Fire Emblem game, just because I really like Ike. I don't know, just a really strong character. Oh, right, I forgot they chant that in Brawl. Okay, speaking of Brawl, Smash. which is the big one. We just had a direct recently for it. We had a huge bomb, 5 characters dropped. Do you think we're going to see it tomorrow? I'm going to say yes. I think they're going to drop a character or two at the end of the direct. It's kind of what they did with Smash 4.
I think, like, pretty much how this discussion went, we really didn't talk much about Smash at all yet. And I think that's how the direct's going to go. It's going to be one of those final things, at least is what I'm predicting. And I think it's going to be like how the game itself was revealed before E3 last year, or this year. Mm-hmm. And just like inklings were just kind of plopped in, like, surprisingly. We'll just get a character and not expect it. It'll just be like a last thing. Of course, we'll know it's Smash. We might even see the little logo flash because that's already been shown before some character reveals. At least it was for King K. Rool. But yeah, I can see that. I definitely think we're going to get a character, and it's probably going to be a brand new character. One thing to note, though, Brawlhalla, another fighting game, just announced, and this kind of blew my mind. Rayman's going to be coming to that game. So anybody who's predicting Rayman for Smash, I don't think it's going to happen, but I just thought that was interesting.
You know, I think that there's still a chance, because I heard that Ubisoft actually published Brawlhalla. So,
really?
Yes.
It's coming out to Switch, which is interesting.
Yeah, so I don't think that necessarily hurts his chances. Granted, I didn't think Rayman would have been in the initial roster, but I think that's something to note, you know, that Ubisoft does have their hands in the game.
Good point.
But yeah, Thomas, do you have anything to add to that?
I think we'll get one character. I think that they're realizing that they need to talk about things that are not Smash, but they also need to keep the hype for Smash high. Mm-hmm. So I think we might get more details about the Ultimate Bundle, which has that sweet Bro controller and the steel box and everything like that. But
yeah,
I really think we're going to get one character, and so I'd kind of like to kick it off and see who's right. Who is the character that gets announced tomorrow?
I'm gonna say.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna say we're gonna get one Echo and one original. I'm predicting the Echo to be Isabelle. So I think at least, you know, Animal Crossing fans will have that. I almost said Fire Emblem fans. Jeez. And I think the other one is probably going to be Isaac or Skull Kid. I think it's one of those two. I think Gino's hiding in there. I think they're going to save him for a Smash Direct that will probably inevitably come in October. Maybe November, but I'm leaning more towards October.
Agreed. You know, I like your predictions there. I may go with those. I still think Shadow's going to be in, and Gino's most likely going to be in, but not in this Direct. Definitely not. And I think the bundle is probably going to be mentioned in another Direct. I'm predicting October, maybe toward the end of the month, and maybe they'll show off some Smash when they talk about the online service, just some gameplay of it. But I do think we're just getting one character, and Echo would be cool. I could see Isabelle, maybe Shadow would show up, but you know, keep the Animal Crossing fans happy, and Fire Emblem too. I'm sure Fire Emblem fans are all Animal Crossing fans too.
Yeah,
probably not, but we'll go with it. Yeah, I honestly can't pin down a character. I have to think on it, but I do think your predictions are pretty safe. You said Isaac, and Isabelle, right?
So either Isaac or Skull Kid is the newcomer, and Isabelle as the Echo Fighter. And I only say that because Sakurai said he wants to reveal the whole roster before the game comes out. And let's say that we play it safe and there's only one more Smash Direct, and maybe they do dump another 5 characters. I feel like that they probably... I feel like there's more than 5 characters to show off. I feel like there's more than 6 even. So I feel like, you know, maybe pump out 2 in this, and maybe, you know, 5 in the next Direct or something along those lines. Even though he said that the number's relatively low.
Yeah, what do you think, Tom?
I think I'm going to play it relatively safe, but this is also who I really want, and actually who I think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. I think that we're going to get Captain Toad. Treasure Tracker as a character with an Echo character of Toadette, Captain Toadette. I think we're going to see that happen. I think that with the pickaxe, with the light, I think you see a really cool moveset, and then also with the recent port, it sold pretty well. And I also think they're going to be trying to expand that series as kind of a budget first party. I think it makes all the sense in the world. I think Toad itself is a really cool character to have, not just something that Peach throws out as a weapon, and to have it kind of bolstered by Captain Toad. I'm so excited. I just 100% of that game. It's awesome, and He deserves to be a character. And Toadette. They're both cool. They're both fun guy.
The only
They're fun guys, yeah, exactly.
They're mushrooms.
And that's a good point, because Peach already has Toad as a weapon, but Captain Toad is his own, personality, so he would work as a character, and Captain Toadette would be really cool too. Get a lot of Mario reps. And what about Birdo as a possible echo for Yoshi? If we get Yoshi, maybe that'll show up, but I don't know about that one so much.
The only counterpoint I could actually see for Captain Toad is that according to some people, he is visible on the Mario Odyssey New Donk City stage. However, that hasn't stopped them in the past before, because Toon Link was the conductor on the Spear Track stage, and everybody thought he was deconfirmed at that point. And then your boy Gonzalo came in and said, "Leave it to me," and Toon Link was actually a playable character. So I agree though. If there's gonna be another Mario character outside of something like Geno, I think Captain Toad is the go-to. Sorry, Waluigi fans, but assist trophies.
Maybe he'll break out his trophy and be like, "I've had enough. Wow, I'm in Smash." Waluigi breaks out of his trophy case.
I'd rather have Spike.
I do like the idea though of just having a Captain Toad kind of represent more of the spin-off kind of Mario games, and he is in terms of Mario characters that are kind of big, we're kind of running low at this point, and Captain Toad is kind of one that's kind of gaining popularity, so I could see that.
I agree.
All right, so are we ready for our hot takes? Because I've been excited.
All right, yeah, let's get some hot takes out here. Who wants to start?
All right, hot take number one. I've already kind of done one with my NES controller, but here is my super hot take that is going to happen, is that they are going to announce NES-themed Joy-Cons that you can put onto the sides, and they will be wireless, so they'll work similarly to Joy-Cons. And you can put them on the sides of your Switch, play online, and we will finally get an awesome first-party D-pad on the Switch to play all these awesome indie games. I think they're going to retail at a price of $30 and will either come bundled with a one-year online subscription, or, in my dream world, a physical copy of the NES Classic for the Switch. All 30 of those games.
You've been sitting. I could tell you've been sitting on that one. You seem prepared.
Oh, that's a hot take.
That is, but that's actually I'm just picturing holding my Switch with those. That sounds perfect. I mean, they're really hyping up their NES games right now, and what better way to just hear your NES controllers attached to your Switch? That would be really cool. I can see it. Have them all square,
Mm-hmm.
I dig it.
Yeah, all right. I'll give 3 hot takes, and then I'll let you all take them. My second hot take is I think that it's already kind of been leaked, but I'm going to go even further. That it's been leaked that they're going to try and port New Super Mario Bros. U and Super Luigi U to the Switch. I think that's a great fit. My hot take is that we're getting the New Super Mario Bros. HD collection with all of the games for the Switch.
Give them online.
Oh, yeah. And I really want that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're just going to get New Super Mario Bros. And New Super Mario Luigi U, and I think those are going to be announced for this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
But because they have already said they have unannounced games for this year, but I just don't see it happening. But I love the full collection. And then my final hot take is we know that it's real, and we all want it, that Pikmin 4 will be announced for next June.
Totally forgot that Pikmin 4 exists. And there was an interview 2 or 3 years ago about being 80% done, too.
Now, I'm going to hedge my bet a little bit. That if Pikmin 4 isn't announced, at least we'll get Pikmin 3 or a Pikmin trilogy in June. We're going to get Pikmin in June or July. There will be summer flowers and fruits and RTS on the go.
Okay, so the thematic, kind of like Luigi's Mansion with the release there.
Yes, the same with Yoshi.
So my summary of my hot takes, and we'll see how I do, is A, NES Joy-Cons with hopefully either an online service code or an NES bundle. 2 is my other hot take, that we are going to be getting Pikmin in the summer. And then my third hot take was, oh wow, I'm totally blanking on what my third hot take was. It was too hot.
The Mario Brothers?
That was the collection.
Yeah, the Mario Brothers collection,
Yeah,
but
we were talking
probably
about
just the two on the Wii U.
We're talking about collections being all the rage nowadays, so this is the time is right for it. Bring on Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros. Collection. Let's bring on Pikmin collection. Let's just keep it going.
All right, whose hot takes are next?
I have one. I can just throw mine out.
All right, bring it out the oven. Let's go.
Let's bring it fresh out. Let's see the Nintendo 64 Mini. Let's do it.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
That's hot. That's pretty hot.
Yeah, I know, right? It might have the smallest library of the NES and SNES library, but let's do it.
He's also not wrong in that 2 months to build up hype, and then you get that thing released. Now, I'm a naysayer when it comes to the N64 Classic. I don't think it'll work, because I think most of the games they won't be able to get because they're rare, but
don't
this
say
is
that.
the time to announce it.
There's another hot take. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but that's the perfect opportunity to bring Banjo back. Bring Banjo in. Put him in Smash. I have been welling up in tears waiting for it. Not really. I haven't welling up in tears, but I will if he's in the game. I'm kidding you not. I will tear up, and the nerd in me is just gonna just be very happy. But I don't know. I think Gino is more likely, but I don't think we're gonna see him tomorrow. But my hot take, let's see the N64 Mini or Classic tomorrow. Let's do it.
That's a hot take, and I want it to happen. I want it. I'm putting my faith in you.
All right. I'm gonna hold out. Fingers crossed, toes crossed. I'll do it all for us. Let's do it.
All right, I got a lukewarm take, and then I got a really hot take. So, lukewarm take. We haven't talked about any Switch ports so far, and it seems we have not hit the quota. Also, with the recent release of Elma in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think we could be seeing a Xenoblade Chronicles X port for the Switch.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I could see that happening. Now, for my other one, which is the hottest of takes, Kid Icarus Uprising 2.
I think
am all for it. Let's do it. Sakurai, work overtime. Let's get this game going.
Kevin, would you settle for a Switch port of the first one?
Would I settle for a Switch port of the first title? Hell yes. I want that game in some form or fashion for a wider audience.
And that had multiplayer too. Perfect for the online service. And that actually could work while Sakurai's working on Smash. Doesn't have to develop a new game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when does Sakurai clone himself?
Right? We're gonna get human cloning technology ASAP, and Sakurai's gonna be our test subject, our first one.
I really want to play it. I hope it's real, Kevin.
I want it to happen so much because Kid Icarus Uprising is my favorite 3DS title, and I think that it needs more people to kind of appreciate it. And the control scheme for the 3DS has a history of messing up people's hands. So maybe on the Switch, having dual sticks, this would be the perfect game to bring it over for, or just have the sequel. I was waiting so long for the sequel on the Wii U, and just nothing happened. Even though Sakurai said he wasn't going to make another one, but I like to believe that I willed Snake into Smash after 4 years of asking. So here's hoping that maybe I can will Kid Icarus Uprising into existence, the sequel at least.
If you get your sequel to Uprising, Banjo has to be in it for 4 years too. Dang it. We'll see though. We'll see.
Those are.
It's a prediction, and you make a good point. Like a lot of people were complaining about the controls in that game. That seemed to be the big and one and only complaint. Otherwise, it got lots of praise. So this would be a perfect time to fix that issue.
Mm-hmm. Like I don't see it happening. I really don't, but I would love for it to happen, and I feel like it would be a perfect fit for it. Those are kind of like my two big hot takes right now. I can't really think of anything too crazy. I was kind of thinking of potential Ruby and Sapphire maybe being released on something, kind of like the Gold and Silver and the Red and Blue ones have been released on the 3DS, but I feel like Gold and Silver just came out recently, right?
Recently enough, but I don't know if they'd want the brand confusion with Let's Go coming out in 2 months.
Oh, you know what? That's a really good point, actually. Which actually kind kind of just a thing for that. Do you think we're gonna see Let's Go tomorrow? It's like a month away from releasing.
Yes, I think we will, and that was another hot take I have. I'm sorry, I'm full of them today.
Okay, that's
Guess
fine.
who we're going to see? We're going to see a sizzle reel of 4 new Megas.
Okay, so you think
Megas back, baby.
you think Megas are coming back? All right.
And I think we're going to see the 3 Mega Vaporeon, Flareon, and Jolteon.
Ooh, okay.
And if I had to go to 5, I think we're going to see Mega Butterfree.
Wow.
And Mega Raichu.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you don't have Raichu on here, but you have the free Eevees, something might be up here.
Yeah, we're also going to see Butterfree, and Butterfree's going to be the first Bug Psychic type, and he's going to be awesome.
That would be awesome, and I could see that.
If Beedrill got it, so the counterpart might as well. Yeah, I would love to see Megas come back. While I think Megas are absolutely busted when it comes to the competitive singles scene that you typically see on something like Showdown. I'm not as familiar with VGC if there is busted there. However, I think that they just the design that comes with them and the stat changes and the new abilities, which I know this game isn't going to have abilities, but for future titles, that'd be fantastic. Just kind of pumping some new blood into there, because I was kind of let down by Z moves personally. I think that they were just kind of flashy, one-time, really, really kind of overpowered moves that caused my 3DS to lag because I don't have a newer 3DS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see some new Megas. I like this hot take a lot.
We will see. I don't know. It's all on the table at this point.
Speaking of them being fresh and hot out of the oven, we only have, less than 24 hours now at this point?
Yeah.
So It's right around the corner.
So 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Get ready. It's going to be very, very hype. I'm sure we'll probably hop in call for that, just because I really don't have that much going on tomorrow. So might as well.
Likewise, I'll free up my time. Let's do it.
Sounds good to me. It's finally at a good time for us Eastern Standard Timers.
So, do you guys have any final thoughts before we start wrapping this up?
Sakurai, if you're listening, please put Banjo in Smash. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. I will be complete.
The last thing I would like to say, and I would like to tell everybody to please plug their ears, but Captain Toad is coming to Switch, and he's just going to yell to everyone, "I'm Toad!"
That's right, you gotta have Toadette right behind him.
Thank you for the.
Oh yeah, I can't even make that noise.
Thank you for the heads up. Yeah, I'm just gonna say my final thought is I really hope that we do get a Link's Awakening thing for the 3DS. That would probably, outside of maybe Smash character reveals, get me the most excited. Hell, even maybe more excited. And Sakurai, also just a little plug. I know you gave me Snake, and I'm extremely thankful. But let's talk about some Rex and Pyra action. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sold really well. It's a good game. DLC's coming out this month. We might get a final trailer for that, but that's all I really gotta say. So, all right, I would want to say thank you guys for just showing up and just talking about this. It was a good time.
Definitely was. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, so all right guys, if you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like on here. Comment below what you think maybe you'll see and what you're kind of expecting to see during the direct, or what you think we'll see realistically. I'd love to read through those comments and everything. So yeah, thanks again, and we will catch you guys next time.
Take care, everyone.
See you.